G'day everyone, this is Jill, also known as GeniAus, in Sydney, Australia, ready and raring to go, maybe, with our first GeniAus Hangout on air for 2015. Our theme this evening is to do or not to do over. That is the question. Though, unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that our mate Thomas McKenty, the genealogy blogger ninja, came up with this idea for a genealogy do-over, and many of our friends, both in the US, the UK, and down under, enthusiastically embraced Thomas's do-over. But then there were a few of us who thought perhaps the do-over's not for us. And so tonight I'm wondering if we can explore this question and tell us about what you're doing. Are you taking part in the do-over? Have you thrown the baby out with the bathwater? Are you doing a modified do-over? Or maybe a go-over? Are you completely ignoring doing over? What are you doing to ensure that your data is accurate and up to date? And do you have specific goals for 2015? Now, a bit of housekeeping. When you're not talking, I'm wondering if you can keep your microphone muted so that we don't have any feedback. I'm just going to have a look at the panel now. I was worried about 10 minutes ago because there was no one in the room with me, but all of a sudden I've got lots of companions, so that is fantastic. I'll start with Les on my right, your left, and just get Les to say hello and tell us where he's from.
Good day, Jill. Excuse me, and everyone. Can't quite get my video happening at the moment. I don't know why, but I'm in Brisbane, and it's been rather warm and sticky here today. But for my part of the do-over, I've just...
Oh, we're not talking about it. You're just introducing.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just introducing. Okay, now we're going to Julie up in the in Devon. Hello, Julie.
Hi, Jill. Yes, I'm Julie Goucher. I live in a very grim Devon. It looks like someone's got the undercoat out and painted everything. It looks pretty miserable. But yep, I'm here, and it's raining just for a change. So it's good to see everyone.
Great. Hello, Jenny. Long time no see.
Indeed, because you've been gallivanting around the world.
Yes, but I'll be gallivanting with you soon.
Yes.
Jenny and I are off to Roots Tech in about 4 or 5, I don't know, soon.
It's about 4 weeks.
4 weeks. All right, terrific. So Jenny's actually Vice President of the Society I'm a member of, so that's rather nifty. Now we're moving up to the Central Coast. Hello, Janelle.
Hello, Jill and everyone.
Goodo. And Fran, hello. Fran, are you going to Roots Tech? Can't hear you. I think you're muted. No. You're muted. Can I unmute you? No, we'll come back to Fran, who's got a moving mouth. Yeah, I don't know. Carmel, another Queenslander. Well, an immigrant.
Yes, I have unmuted. Is that you can hear me now?
Yep. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And as Liz said, a hot day today.
Was
it? Been in the pool.
I've been in the pool, but it's a cool, rainy day here. But that's me. Brenda, hi.
Hi, Jill.
Brenda's not saying anything. Hi. Another Queenslander.
She's back on. She had that blue screen come up as we were talking earlier, and had to.
Oh, that's a bit tragic. Okay.
I'm in Hervey Bay in Queensland.
Right. Welcome. We've got a lot of Queenslanders here. I think this might be a Victorian next, and I think you're in Victoria, aren't you? Anne hasn't got her microphone.
Yes.
Yes, she has.
Hello.
She's ready. Hello.
Yes, I'm from Ballarat in Victoria.
Fantastic. Welcome. It's so nice to have someone from south of the border.
Thank you,
And
Jill.
another Queenslander. Is your microphone working yet, Alex? No, it's not. Yeah, I can say it for you. Well, you can wave and you can make comments on the you know, underneath the video screen. It'd be really good if you could watch and see if anyone else is commenting. All right, seeing as we're going back to Anne because we'll stick with the film strip. Anne, are you doing the do-over? Are you being done
Not
over?
really. No, I've thought about it. I downloaded Family Historian. I started with a small tree, and then I decided that my tree was actually not bad, and I'm concentrating on improving the existing tree.
Yeah, okay. So what's your process? What are you doing to ensure that to improve your tree? Are you just dipping in and out, or do you have some sort of organisation happening?
I'm reading Thomas McEntee's posts, and
right, yeah.
So I think they're terrific, and I think they're full of good ideas. But my main process for improving the tree is to blog. And when I do a blog post, I spend a lot of effort going through the facts and gathering the sources and improving that particular bit of the tree. So polishing that particular little bit.
Yep.
And I try to blog about my main tree. So I have a list of Untitled based list of, who the direct forebears are. And I really try to concentrate on those. Whereas when I spend my time just researching, I'm all over the place. So very distant twigs of the tree.
Oh, that's good. So you're concentrating on those direct lines, and
yes.
You're blogging. So are you starting with the generation closest to you, or working back, or you're working down, or?
This year I've decided to do the 52 Ancestors blog post with Amy Johnson Crow.
Yes.
So she's got some prompts. So I did one person who was an immigrant last week, who I hadn't blogged about before, and this week I'm writing about somebody who was present at the proclamation of King George II. And
oh, wow.
a bit surprised at why he was. He was only 23 years old. His father had died, and he was quite poor, but he became quite a wealthy man. So it's sort of trying to trace through, well, how did he become wealthy, and how did he become, at the age of 23, present in the room George II was proclaimed king. So that was her second post, was something to do with kings. So using her posts helps as a trigger.
Yeah, okay, no, that's great. And that's 52 you're going to have to do. So that takes you back a few generations. That's great. All right, we're going to ask Brenda what she's doing.
Okay, I decided to start a new family tree when Legacy 8 came out. And so I started right at the beginning, and I'm making sure I'm going through my files and putting all the source citations and everything I've got all in with each person now. Instead of the haphazard files I had before that I'd started before I knew really what I was doing. In those days when you just collected everything and went on to the next guy without really knowing where you got the information from. So as I come across someone that I'm not sure about, I've been on the hunt for them, and so far I've broken down 2 brick walls.
Ooh, just this year? Oh no, since last
in the last 3 months. In the last 3 months when I've been doing it.
Yeah. And they're direct ancestors.
One was a family story that my nan always told me she wasn't the surname she actually was. She thought she was another surname, and so I've proved that wrong, Nan. You were who you were born to be. But that took me out to Indian records and everything. So fascinating.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And so what, did Phoebus help you, or what?
Yeah, Phoebus actually had a photograph of the gravestone of the guy I was looking for.
Oh, fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to put the link to their site in the underneath the videos in the community for others to see?
No.
You never know, we may have some Indian people. If otherwise, we'll do it. I'll do it later. But that's
look it up
really
and put
good.
It up there.
Okay. Now, Carmel, you haven't been doing family history for many, many years. You're a relative newbie. So you probably don't need doing over. Or do you?
Well, because I have collected things in all sorts of places, I thought it was a good idea to actually look at where everything was and how I was doing my file naming. And some of that was fairly haphazard, I must say. So by following all the blog posts that have been appearing on the Facebook page, I've certainly revisited my file naming procedures. I've revisited where I'm storing everything, because I had things on my computer, on my iPad, in Evernote, in Google Drive, in Dropbox, books in iBooks, stuff in Goodreader, and I thought, I really need to get my act together. And it wasn't until this came up that really highlighted to me that I should be more systematic about where I stored things and what I named them.
So where are you storing things?
Well, I decided, first of all, it would probably be best to migrate everything to my computer so that it could be backed up to Dropbox and to Google Drive, to both. So rather than have some isolated things on my iPad, which certainly are backed up through iCloud, but still, it's again in a different place. So I've just been concentrating on that. And because before Christmas there was a bargain, bargain prices on Legacy and Roots Magic, well, I just had to have both of them, didn't I? So have been doing a bit of looking at those.
All right.
Certainly have looked at research goals and things like that as well.
Fantastic. That's so good. Now, Fran, how about you? Are you being done over? No, we can't hear Fran. Can you unmute yourself? No, still just a moving mouth. Oh, dear me. Never mind. I'm going to jump to Alex and see if... Oh, no, she's run away. All right. Alex, do you think you've got any noise now? Can you move your mouth? Make sound? No. All right, it's Jenny Joyce. Jenny Joyce, you probably haven't got time to be being done over, but are you being done over? What are you doing?
Well, I mean, I started my family tree before I had a family history program, so it was all paper. So I've periodically reviewed things anyway, and I often periodically review a particular line. But I have decided in this case to pick on one line, the Hardings, who somebody else gave me in the early days. So, but rather than delete my files or anything like that, I'm using the Master Genealogist. So I used a flag to set them, and I've color-coded them now, saying I don't trust these people. And I'm re-entering everything on that line in another genealogy program.
Oh.
To test it out as much as anything.
Well, version 6 is very good.
No, yes, I know. At the moment I'm testing it with Legacy, and I'm finding it's not working that well for me. So yes, maybe later I will test your what is it? The family historian.
Family historian, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to go through it, and I'm also trying to I don't know if anybody read my blog of, may have been last year or the year before, probably 2013, genealogical epiphany, how you have to let the data speak to you. You don't look at any preconceived ideas like anybody else's pre-set up family trees or published family trees. And I'm trying to use that to just go through this one line when I have a few minutes here and there. But in the meantime, I haven't deleted it. I've just flagged it all in my main database, color-coded it.
Color-coded it. So your records are
and then
all right?
when I've... So actually, I have... Yeah, that's fine. But I have found one thing when I looked at it and I thought, I'm not sure that I agree with that assumption about that marriage of a sibling. So it's worthwhile.
Okay, all right. Well, let's hop over to the UK and see what young Julie's up to.
When Thomas first kind of announced it, I went back and looked through my early journals, and my very first genealogical note that I ever wrote was in 1986. So that's an awful lot of work that I've done, and I didn't feel that I wanted to just delete it all. So what I've been doing is I use Roots Magic for my program. I've again started with, I have such a complicated family. I have a lot of intermarrying because my family lived in pretty much the same rural area in Surrey, Sussex and Hampshire for 300 years. So I've got a lot of crossover in my lines. So I have a main file that nothing's added to my main file unless I've got proof that it needs to be there. And then I've got paper files and digital files. So all three should be used together. And I'm actually going through from me back through my mum, my grandparents, and filling in the gaps. And where I've got a gap that I can't be sure of, or I've not looked at a collateral line, I'm exploring that line and building up my to-do list as I go, and I'm making sure my citations are okay, and I'm also indexing as I go. So I actually have an Excel file where I'm indexing pictures and documents so I can at least find everything again. And at the beginning I've got a kind of a readme file which explains to other people, should I not be here, that tells people where all my bits and pieces are, and how you look at everything. And I've got the same in front of any Excel I always kind of write what the file's about and the point of it. So I'm not doing a do-over, I'm kind of doing a review over.
Or a go-over.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying it. I've found two things that I hadn't noticed, stuff I had already. Went to add it into Roots Magic and looked at it again, it was the census, and realised that I actually had two different bits of my family living next door to each other in a place that I hadn't expected them to be. And it was like, I've had this for 15 years, and why did I not notice it last time? So it's really good to do it. Sorry, can you hear me okay now? Yeah, so I wasn't sure. I've kind of lost a bit of signal then. Yeah, so I've been doing this review over, and I'm kind of enjoying it. It's almost like going back to basics, and I think that is always a very good way to be. And what was so bizarre was that when I looked at that census information, I went back to the notes I wrote from my great aunt, and the note actually I wrote was in 1990. And she told me that this person had married someone called Daisy, and I couldn't find a marriage at all. And I thought, she's got it completely wrong. So when I looked again at all the details, and I did find the marriage for Daisy, and I could hear her little voice saying to me, see, I told you, you weren't looking in the right place. And it was just good to have all the stuff there. So I'm glad that I did it, and it's good. And I'm still working my way through. And it will certainly take me a lot longer than 13 weeks to do, but I think it's a good investment of time. So I can't hear anyone else now, so I don't know whether Jill's still there.
I think it looks like we've actually lost Jill.
I think Jill's just dropped out.
I do too.
I suddenly thought, am I talking to myself? And everyone can see my mouth moving and no one can actually hear me. So I look very, very sad. Oh, that's good. I thought I'll just keep going. So,
yes, no, but looking at the film strip, there's no Jill.
She's had the dreaded blue screen as well, like I got.
Yeah.
Oh, think she's on her way back.
I'm back. I dropped out. Did you okay, just keep on.
We noticed.
Sharing anything
So I can't hear you so well, Jill.
else?
Jill, we can't hear you.
Nice view of
While
the kitchen, Jill.
While Jill's trying to
Yeah.
get herself, working, why don't we pass on to Les for him to tell us whether he's doing the do-over or the redo or any version thereof.
Okay, I'm probably doing a similar thing to Julie in that I'm not doing a complete restart, but I've gone back. I'm a user of Legacy 8 and fairly proficient at that, and basically just been going through and making sure with my citations that I have the right repositories, that I actually have the right citation that goes with that repository, and excuse me, and then when I've gone to an individual event for each person, to attach the right citation and link to that particular event, and then that way when you do the report, you know, hey presto, smoke and mirrors, it comes up at the end of the legacy report. I've sort of learnt that by a little bit by falling over and getting up again. I've been actually teaching legacy to a local family history group at our local library, and if there's one thing that makes you learn stuff is quite intimately, is when you've actually got to get up in front of a group of people and teach it. And not wishing to embarrass myself, you make absolutely sure that you've got everything right. So from that point of view, I find the legacy program very good, and indeed the point that Julie just raised about the geographic location of different members of your tree is quite good with legacy. And, if you do use the geolocating section of it, it's a very powerful tool that legacy has, and you can quite easily see where your various ancestors were geographically located at any given place, provided you've got the name right. It's just a really great tool. But my big news is that I'm going down to Canberra in March.
Oh,
that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Well, we'll see you. I think Carmel's going and Jenny's going. Anne Young, are you going? No.
No, I don't think I'll be able to make it, sadly, but no.
Yeah, oh good. Well, we'll catch up. That'll be fun to actually meet you in person.
Yeah, I'll be there from Thursday to Monday. So.
Good, excellent. That'll be fantastic. Now, I'm just going to pop in here because I'm on air, but if I disappear, please just keep talking amongst yourselves. I'm sharing a screen because I saw Thomas's idea for the do-over, and I, like Jill, she normally jumps in feet first without thinking about things, but I actually thought about it and I thought, no, I don't want to do that. My stuff is a mess, let's face it. My name's Jill, so stuff's a mess. But I really ascribe to Pauleen's 3 hours of genealogy. I believe it's like anything, our research, it's a cyclical process. So we should be not just doing it and putting it aside. We should be always evaluating what we've done and going back. I mean, I know it's hard with, lots of people in your trees, but when Pauleen posted this on the Worldwide Genealogy blog partway through last year, September it actually tells us, revisit, record and revise, I thought, yeah, that's what I believe in. So I've really taken Pauleen's 3 R's to heart, and that's what I'm doing. I've gone through my direct line, just had a quick look at all of them. Because Mr. GeniAus has all of a sudden become interested in family history and is writing something up, I've had to go to his direct line, and because he's using all my research naturally, I've had to go to his direct line and make sure everything's hunky-dory. So that's what I've been doing recently. And then my genealogy program, Family Historian, has a view that's like a spreadsheet view. And you can actually, in Family Historian, then sort by the last updated column. So I've been going through, I'm up to D, and because I'm a bit strange, I'm back to V. I'm going backwards, and looked at all those records that I imported in 2010. I haven't looked at again, so I'm not doing a full go over, but I'm just looking to make sure I've got sources for whatever I claim, if I can find them, because you know, you take other people's stuff on board. So I'm doing the 3 R's, and I've got to sort out my paper files. I need to have a big scan-a-thon, but I have, as Jenny knows, my Genealogy Life on this. It's the new one is a 4 terabyte model. It goes everywhere with me, so everything's getting scanned and put on here. It may take me some time.
And I hope you're making, Jill, I hope you're making a backup copy of it.
Yes, I'm backing it up onto 2 smaller ones because I can't quite afford to buy another 4 terabyte yet. So the photos are going on 1 2 terabyte, and the other stuff's going on the other 2 terabyte, which is a pain in the backside, but that's what we have.
Did your Genie Santa buy that for you, Jill?
No, I bought it.
Oh.
I bought it before I went away on my last trip.
No.
I've been waiting for a 4 terabyte one to come out, and about 10 days before I went away, I used to go into JB Hi-Fi and Dick Smith and all those places and annoy them, saying, "Have you got a small 4 terabyte?" And they'd say, "No, there's no such thing." And about 10 days before I went away, I went in and there was such an animal, so I bought it for myself. Now, Maureen Trotter's listening to us, and I want to tell you what she's saying. She's decided to do her own do-over. So last week she mostly followed Thomas's suggestions. She decided upon an improved layout and a naming convention for her files. She downloaded Evidentia, watched the suggested videos, and booked for the Beginner's Hangout in a couple of days. She's been interested in the do-over chat on Facebook, but she believes a lot of people have been nurturing more of their inner OCD than she wishes to lay claim to. So instead of nesting hundreds of tags and setting up stags in Evernote, she's attempting to keep all plans simple enough so they are likely to be carried out on a regular and long-term basis. This week she's concentrating on cleaning out all the old bills and other rubbish that have been cluttering up her file drawers in a study. And once she's disposed of the full, oh yeah, you can see she was once a teacher. She's got lots of pens, texters, whiteboard markers, pencils, erasers, sharpeners, staples, etc. that she's going to go through. Then she's going to start refiling. Oh, someone is trying to ring me, so I'm declining because I can't have someone else coming along. Sorry, I just wanted to include Maureen, and that's what she's up to. Can someone wave or whatever if they use Evidentia? No? No one's tried that? I don't think I can cope with another thing at the moment. Who's an Evernote person?
Actually, Jill, can I just come in on Evidentia?
Yep. Go for it.
I paid for the damn thing and could never get it to download.
Oh, fair enough.
So I didn't bother after that.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's another one of our American friends, things. Now, someone was waving their arms about Evernote. Have you... Who's me?
It's Carmel. Yeah, Carmel.
Oh, hello, Carmel. Go for it.
Yes.
So how are you using Evernote in this sort of...
Well, I've been using Evernote for several years, sort of since it started, for organising all sorts of other things. So when I started reading about genealogy, I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I can just save notes there. But as I was saying, I ended up in a big schmozzle because I then didn't know what was on my computer or was it in Evernote. The advantage of Evernote, though, is the search. And whilst your computer will search if you've tagged every file and you've consistently named your files, and will do a very comprehensive search, the search in Evernote is instant. So I do have everything in one notebook now called Research Family History, and have it filed by surname and Christian name, etc. So makes it easy to find.
Yeah.
So I think it's just keeping notes there until I actually look at it and then put it into my software.
Yeah. There seem to be two schools of thought, don't there? That you have lots of, one school of thought is you have lots of notebooks and put everything in the notebook, and then the other school of thought seems to be just bung everything all in together and really exploit the tags.
Yes.
So that's sort of the way you're going, Carmel.
Yes, I've certainly.
I think the thing is you can do whichever works for you.
Yeah,
yes,
well, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do you use it, Jenny? Are you using it more at the moment? Do you use it for your client work, or do you use something else to organise yourself?
I don't tend to use it for the client work. I used it for a lot of my own work and a lot of my own to-do list where things are parked, for example, till I get to the Salt Lake City Library. I use it for lots of day-to-day things.
Yeah.
I use the web clipper stuff a lot. And I store all my travel stuff, all the travel papers are in there. So it's kind of different things. And I use a combination of the structure of the notebooks and tags.
Yep. Julie, you were moving, I think, from OneNote to Evernote. Where are you at the moment? And have you been changing your practices? Have you been reviewing your practices?
I've still got material in OneNote, and I do like OneNote, but what I really love about Evernote is the ability. I use Chrome, is that little web clipper. It means I can clip everything. I think that's brilliant. So I really am moving across, and it's about, I think, £35 a year for Evernote. It is the best £35 I think I've ever spent, and I think it's really good. And I'm gradually moving everything out of OneNote, although what's there I'm going to keep there as a kind of an archive, just to be sure. But what I do have is I have a mixture of tags and notebooks, which I think seems to work for me. The one thing I do use, though, as a tag, I actually have surname hyphen and then the actual surname, and I've done places the same, place dash wherever it is, because it's easier, because some places are the same place as a name, for example.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. And do you use Evernote at all, or how do you organise your bits and pieces? Are you changing your practice as you go back on your family line? How are you saving everything that you discover in your blog posts? Is it all, as you prepare your blog posts?
I save everything to my online tree, which is using Ancestry.com, and I also use Family Tree Maker or whatever it is, the associated program, but I mainly use Ancestry.com. So anything I save, doesn't matter where it is, it goes onto the Ancestry.com tree. But I use Evernote for research leads I need to follow up. So if I find a document I want to go and see it in a particular repository, then I save it to Evernote or the reference to Evernote and save it with a tag with that repository to do. So it might be SLV for State Library Victoria to do, and then when I get, I've got them all grouped together as to all the things I'm going to look up. So I'm going to Canberra in the next month, and I've got a series of things to look up at the National Archives, for example, and that sort of thing. So it's sort of more research log or proposed research that I use Evernote for. But when I've actually found it,
then it goes into your ancestry tree. Yeah, oh, that's good. Brenda, do you use Evernote at all, or where do you put all your bits and pieces? You know, as you've been breaking down these 2 brick walls, how have you managed all the stuff, the data, the information that you've come across? You know, where have you put it?
My desk. Yeah.
Do you have digital files or paper files?
As I found things, I've just tried to put it straight into Legacy. Otherwise, it just ends up in the file or on the desk and never gets put away anywhere. So as I'm doing it now, it's straight in the file, in the Legacy folder, and then it's filed in the correct position in the paper files that I've got.
Right. So so you still keep. You've got lots of. I can see lots of folders there behind you. You've got.
Oh, that's like the Institute stuff.
That's the Institute stuff. Okay. All right. We're just going to see if we can actually hook up with Fran. If we can hear Fran now. Fran, can you unmute yourself and let's see if you can talk? No, she's looking very. No, she's not talking. No, moving mouth. Oh, sorry. Karen Taylor's just saying she got here late and she has to agree with Julie. She loves a Evernote Cripper for Chrome. I'm just going because I'm in charge. I'm going to have to say I find that Evernote I don't use so much for research because I can keep in Family Historian. I can keep my to-do lists and I can keep research log in it. You know, everything like that goes in there. But to keep track of the GeniAus gags that I put out on a Friday, I use Evernote and the web clipper. You know, when I put possibles into a notebook called Gags, and I use it for that. And I also use it to keep track of posts for the Genia Dictionary. Whenever someone mentions a word, I make a note in the Genia Dictionary folder, and then when I actually do a post, I just give it a tag, posted, and when I've added it to the big long list in the dictionary, I give it 1ATD added to dictionary. So I'm just finding it's a great tool for organisation, which is my strong point, and it actually keeps me on track with those things.
Hi, Jill, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Fran.
Yes, we can. Go for it, Fran.
I've joined about 3 times.
Oh, no.
The very first question about are we doing the thing, I'm not, because last year I spent a lot of time after Roots Tech actually tidying up my stuff, which is continuing. So I'm not going to do a whole remake over when, you know, you've been doing that already. And Evernote I love. I've brought the paid one as well. And I've created my own new filing system, totally against all the traditional genealogy ways of doing it.
Yeah.
I get when I find a new source, I get a piece of, I've got a book, and I write down the next number. Say, for example, I get a new birth certificate, and it might be 197 or 332, and that gets the number. Any picture I file has that number at the beginning of it. I write the stuff out like old school days where you wrote it out by hand, and then I hardly ever refer to that book again, but it helps me remember. I take a photo of my notes, I take a photo or scan the thing, stick it in Evernote, stick it in Ancestry, and stick it in Family Tree Maker.
You're doing a lot of sticking there.
Yeah, well, you know, but so basically now I've got 3 or 4 folders because everything's just a numerical order. When I want to find anything, I can go to the person on Ancestry or my tree maker, or I just go straight into Evernote and I can type a name, a date, a word. It even scans the scribbly notes that I've written, and so I can put any word in and I find it, and I'm getting there because of it, but I'm not. I don't think I won't show any really official people at Roots Tech because I think they'll say, no, you can't do that.
Don't be silly. You do. So you are going to Roots Tech?
Oh, yes, Stephen's
Oh,
booked
good.
me. I spoke to my cousin in the US, so I've organised to stay with her for the week afterwards.
Great.
I've booked your function.
Good. Yes, I'm going to have a dinner, very casual dinner for people on the Tuesday evening. So any Australians or their friends who are going along to Roots Deck, watch my blog for details. It'll probably be down at the California Pizza Kitchen near the Union Railway Station, but I'll put the details. That was good last year, Jenny, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought I was just unmuting myself. Yes, no, I thought that was an excellent location. They could easily cope with a large number. They could cope with split bills. There was huge variety of choice of food, of pizzas, pastas, other dishes, and they weren't overwhelmingly big American-sized helpings, which just put me off. So
yeah,
very happy to go back there.
Good. Well, you'll get to meet Fran, and so will I. So that'll be beaut. Now let's get back to our organisation and our doing over. Have you got anything else you want to tell us about being done over? Any suggestions?
Me or all of us?
Oh, well, anyone. I just had Jenny on the screen. Fran, you can go because you had to be quiet for so long.
I agree with the 3 things that you put up with the redo and whatever it was in the beginning. I can't remember. I find that if I go back and pick up a document or a person and just revisit it all, you just discover new stuff all the time. Yes, the revisit, record and revise.
Yep.
And I think you have to be brave, and sometimes, like I had a wrong mother yesterday, I discovered, and you just have to bite the bullet and say it's so obviously wrong and delete it. Whereas sometimes you think, well, how did I work that out? Where did I go wrong? And sometimes you just got to be brave.
Yep. It's awful, when you've hung on to someone for a while and you discover they're not the person you thought they were. But yeah, it's good to be brave. I might go back along the film strip, starting with Les again. Les, have you got any do-over suggestions?
Well, I use, as I mentioned before, I use Legacy 8, and one of the features in Legacy 8 is tags, and there are a plethora of applications, I guess. You can use tags in Legacy 4. You're really only limited to your own imagination with tags in Legacy. And one of the things that I explain to the little group that I present to is like a Legacy to-do list, where your to-do list becomes a report of tagged things to do. It's fairly simple that, as you're working through your tree or a fact or event or whatever, and you think, I need to do some more research, I need to do this or that, I'll plonk a little tag on there. And I might also plonk a tag in to a particular research site or repository where the next time I'm going to Queensland State Archives, I go in and print a little report out, and it'll have everything that I've tagged in the meantime that I wanted to look at the next time I go there. So it saves my poor feeble brain trying to remember all that stuff. And I find that works very well for me, and I know it works well for others as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I find with Family Historian, I've got, National Library, Family History Library, whatever, all the repositories, and I just add the person to the repository and a note of what I want to find, and, it's there when I go. So I think a lot of the software has that sort of facility, which is great. So I don't need to use something like Evernote for that purpose. Julie, have you got any thoughts, any suggestions about going over that will help
I think
others?
I think you need to go with it, and I think you need to take from whatever it is you're looking at, even the Facebook group, which I think is brilliant. I've been looking at it and I've been reading the posts, but you need to take from it what works for you, because one size doesn't fit all. I think it's really easy to follow the crowd. And I think that, I think it's really good that you can just dip in and take out something and try it and see if it works, because it doesn't always have to be you know, what works for one person won't work for somebody else. So I think that you just need to build your own style. This is what I'm saying. Be you.
Yeah, I want to direct you to the group chat, because I was hoping people would actually put chat things underneath the recording window in the community so that everyone can see it. Would you like to tell us your comment that you made about recordings in Evernote? Share so everyone can hear that.
Yeah, sure. What I've done when my mum passed away, I went back through my mobile phone and was deleting some old messages, and I came across 6 that my mum had left me. So I spent a weekend with a box of tissues and saved all the voicemails as WAV files, and I've got them archived on my external drive, Evernote and OneNote. But I'm definitely about some braces, because I would never hear her voice again. So it was really important for me that I recorded that, and I saved them. And in fact, they're still on my phone. I can't delete them. It's just something. There'll be a time when it's right, I guess. But that's what I've done, and I think that you can just capture that. And actually, you can record anything. You can share anything. Yeah, fabulous. So I'll put that in the community for you. A little note on that. Yeah,
lovely. And Carmel, you made a comment too about what you're doing with Evernote and your sister. Along in a similar vein.
Yeah, at the moment she happens, one of my sisters, I have many, is staying with me, and I suddenly decided, you know, this week's theme is starting from yourself or interviewing yourself, and I thought, okay, well, I need to interview and talk to her about our childhood, which I did today, and have recorded in Evernote, because of course your siblings have different views of your childhood to yourself. So that's something I've just preserved there, and I'm not sure what I'll do with it, but I guess as I learn a bit more, I've got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Jenny, I jumped over you, but because I was looking at the comments in the group chat. Now, have you got any suggestions about doing over? Any further suggestions for people? How do the people at the society in the family history group, as you nurture them, I think that's a nice word, as you nurture them, what sort of things do you do to help them make their research better? What practices do you suggest that they practice?
With a lot of those people, it's more repeating again and again and again the kinds of places to look for certain things. I think probably the one message that I keep going on about is to learn about where your ancestors came from. And we had a very successful session a couple of months ago about using Google, and I finished it with the YouTube videos, or they're not just on YouTube, but there are all the videos that you can access via Google to look up places your ancestors came from. And I picked on a handful of places to illustrate it. And it's just so important to integrate the social history and the geographic history as well as the names and dates. So you look at maps, you look at videos, you look at the social history of what was going on at the time your ancestors were around. And sometimes that can make an enormous impact. You know, if you've got a family having children regularly every couple of years, I mean, hypothetically, let's say that their last child is in 1913 and they don't have another one till 1919. If you hadn't thought about it, maybe the father was off at World War I. But all that is, I mean, that's a trite example, everybody would know that, but it's seeing how world affairs might impact your family, and to never look at people, names, dates, places in isolation, to just combine everything and the world affairs and the social history of the time.
Good. Now, I'm just jumping back to the this scannable app that I haven't got. Does someone want to tell me about the scannable app? Fran, you've used it. The scannable app for Evernote. or Carmel might.
I've only downloaded it. I haven't used it yet. So.
Right. Well, Carmel's a bit of a tech head. She might like to tell us a bit about it.
I've tried it, yes, and usually with the scanning apps, you scan and then you have the 4 dots to do the alterations and everything else. This sort of, the moment you hit the camera in it, it scans it. You don't actually have to tell it to scan. So it's just a bit quicker. It's just one less process to go through. So it's worth trying. Try and see what you think of it.
Yeah, I can see that Julie's actually downloading it now, I think. Yes.
Yes, yeah, I am. I normally use Scanner Pro actually, and that gives you a chance to save it either Dropbox or Evernote. And I have a notebook on Evernote, which is where everything that I scan goes into. My husband had a box of papers in the loft from his prison service days, and some of them were looking a bit tatty. So I said, well, why don't we just scan them all? You're never going to need them again, but we may do in the future at some point, you know, pension time, that kind of stuff. So I've started scanning through the box, and some of them were kind of a bit dusty and manky and stuff, but I've scanned them. It goes straight into that little folder on Evernote. And then I'm shredding the actual paper document because we're probably not going to need it again. So I want to compare that app to this one and just to see. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
I think that's a really good point you've hit on there for the do-over. Well, I've got 2 like library shelves of folders full of bits of paper, and I really think that having a scan and shred policy as part of this do-over, if we're doing, or just as part of our practice, is probably a good idea. Actually, I've been one thing I've decided to do this week is I've got certificates in their folders filed according to surname, which mimics the the organisation on the hard drive. But I've decided I'm going to pull all those precious certificates out. Many of them are scanned, but I'll make sure they're all scanned. And I'm just going to condense down to a couple of folders. I'm really going to have a big scan and shred as part of my organisation and try and not have 2 big shelves of folders full of stuff, but a few folders full of stuff, like certificates and bits and pieces, but the actual vital records, the real things, I'm going to put them all properly together in some archival quality folders. So yeah, that's another thing I'm sort of doing as part of my revising my practices and revisiting and all of that sort of stuff. And Young, you're looking very serious there. We've got a bit over 5 minutes to go. So what about your files? Have you got many paper files? Can you part with them?
I've got the certificates, and I mean to scan them. I bought on your recommendation early last year one of those. What are they? ScanSnap. ScanSnap.
Yeah, aren't they brilliant?
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Yep. So I do have all the certificates in a folder. I need to scan them and put them on my online tree because it's evidence of how do I know what I know. I've invested a lot of money in certificates, so I have a...
Yeah. Oh, I bought 3 yesterday. It nearly killed me. $93 for 3 certificates. Holy schmoly. I haven't bought any for a while, but as I'm going over the family, I'm realising that, for only direct ancestors, realising where I haven't got certificates, and I'm sort of buying them. And I'm like, oh God, $31. Yeah, well, that's a lot. Yeah, so I've lost my train of thought. Something else I was going to say.
Okay, but the thing I really need to scan is photographs.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 sisters-in-law who are sweating on me to scan the family photographs, and I really need to get on with that. And there's lots and lots of clues, of course, in photographs as to who's related to who knew who, and things like that. So that's probably one of my big projects for this year.
Yeah, good, excellent. Yes, I've scanned most of mine. It was a huge job, but that ScanSnap scanner does cope with a little bundle of photos quite well. It's rather quick. Brenda, so you're not scanning and shredding. You've got a commitment to paper files.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I must admit, I have this thing that some of those paper files, it has been really hard to collect some of the stuff in them. Am I really up to just scanning and shredding them? I think I'll hang on to those papers a bit longer. Who knows what I might miss if I just scan them and then shred them.
So I'm going to ask you, I don't know if you read Alona's blog, Alona Tester. She wrote a blog post called Evacuate, I think it was called, because last week in the Adelaide bushfires she had to evacuate. What will you take with you if you evacuate? You might live in a home unit, I don't know, in the middle of a built-up area, but
it was brought home to us last week because we used to live in Adelaide, and our house would have been affected by the bushfires that have just gone through, and in fact a neighbour's house was burnt down. So it makes you think, but a lot of my stuff is stored in the cloud as well as on an external hard drive. So when I lost my hard drive midway through last year, I didn't have any worries because it was all backed up into the cloud anyway.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So Carmel, you.
Can I think?
Yep. Go. Who's that?
Paper file.
Who's that?
Me. I'd like to jump in.
Jenny, go.
Okay, it's all well and good to talk about what would you take to evacuate, you know, if you've got to evacuate because of a case of fire. What happens if your house is threatened by fire and you're at the office and you are not allowed back home? You've got to always think about off-site backups. But what if that's not with you for some reason or other? Off-site backups. This is my IT days, running it, being a system manager, coming back. Always make sure you've got something in the cloud. That's a good off-site backup, or at a friend's place. It's your last ditch in case of emergencies. Or the other thing is, sometimes we hear of stories where places catch fire in the middle of the night and they burn down really quickly, and you might only have time to get out of the house without stopping to pick up your 4 terabyte drive, Jill. So I can't stress hard enough the need to have an extra backup off-site.
No, I agree. And I'm sure Carmel agrees from her days in the workforce, don't you, Carmel?
I do indeed. And I have everything in the cloud.
Well, see, I can't afford to have my 4 terabytes worth in the cloud. So I have to be selective about what I have, and I do have selective bits in the cloud, but
you've simply got too many ancestors.
It's the photographs. So it's because I've scanned all these photographs and I've scanned them at high resolution. So that's the issue. All right, now look, we're nearly out of time. I don't know if we've covered the do-over or not, but it looks as though in our own little ways we're each doing over. Or we haven't done yet, so there's no need to do over. Does anyone want to? No. I invite you all, starting with Anne, to make one last pithy comment. Anne? No? About being done over?
Comment. I think that one should continue to revise your family history rather than do over, and you should have had confidence in what you'd done before. When I looked at what I'd done before, I did have confidence in what was going on, so I felt I could continue from that date.
Fantastic, that's great. Brenda, doesn't have to be pithy.
I always tell the students, stop going to the archives, stop looking on the internet, just get hold of your files and put everything in order. And all those little notes that you've never put away, they've probably got all that research that you're still trying to find.
Brilliant. Carmel.
To me. You jumped to me very quickly.
Yes.
Yes. Just let me check. I'm really enjoying all the blog posts. I know there's a heap of information for me to absorb and learn from, but I think it's been a wonderful experience that so many people were ready to jump in and help everybody else. So I've learned a lot just by reading all those endless blog posts.
And thank you for sending me to canva.com, my new favourite toy. It is brilliant. And now my blog posts are going to look as pretty as yours. Thank you. Now, Fran, some last thoughts.
Hi, I'm a Canva fan too. Do the lessons. There's lessons you can do following it. So that's my big tip. Nothing to do with genealogy, but do the lessons on Canva.
That's okay.
It's brilliant.
Thank you. Jenny?
I just, whatever is going to be the approach that each of our people here is going to take in the next year, I wish them the best of luck with it. That's all. That's my pithy comment.
Very good. Julie?
I would say, if you're going to, when you're starting this, is write yourself a mission statement of kind of what your methodology is, and just keep that pinned into a notice board in front of where you work so that you always remember and you don't miss a step out. Because I think sometimes when you listen to something as you're doing stuff, it's very easy just to take your eye off the ball and forget where you're at. So a short mission statement on what your plans are, and then just keep methodically working through it.
Fantastic. Les?
Last
final piece of short advice. Yes?
My Genie Santa bought me a little flip pal, so
good.
I'm busily scanning out lots of things on that, which is a great piece of kit. But certainly, the idea that was mentioned before about having more than one source, more than one repository of your data to spread the risk. That's a simple thing to do. Spread the risk.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. We've come to the end of an hour. I'm sorry that we lost, who do we lose? Someone. And that Fran had sound issues, so it was great that we actually got to hear you, Fran, in the end. Thank you for your thoughts. And as Les said, best of luck as you revise, revisit, review, whatever, or you do over this year. Our next hangout, I think, will probably be next Sunday evening our time. Someone from England is, I think, going to join us. As soon as she confirms that, I will post a message into the GeniAus community. So that's all, folks.